Before every other person join, I'll try to read some few, let me say, lyrics or poem, which signifies the condition of our present environment right now. So within that 5 minutes, I'll read this out and I want us to listen to it attentively. So, Mr. Hayolua, please be ready. After I'm done, you take on the stage. Thank you so much. So, the lyrics, or should I say, the poem is titled "This East." This East. I will have shared my screen, but currently, in a state where I can't share the screen. So, deceased. So, land so fat and ripe, and so you oppress us, spilling oily pores on our water bodies, from Oguni to his own float, boys of bloated fishes, the symptoms of your viral disease, transmitted through veins of crude, crisscrossing our land. We bleed the black blood of your corporate greed, acquiring, drilling, pumping, selling, spilling, smoking, dumping, dividing, and conquering. You criminalize our communities, militarize our creeks, and cook our land. Our creeks sizzle, seasoned with chilly tempers and diced lives. Your long throats have also reached our sky as you belch gas fire and make a barbecue of it. And you wonder why we flare up? What do you know about dying of drought at the riverside? You puncture our dignity and bring us stitches, too strictured for our worldview. Stop, stop. Riverside is allergic to your oily dish. We resist this disease. So the poem is titled Diseased. It is coined from the Homev Eco-Instigator written by Diowereme and Koikubo. So the name is somehow like that. So we hope we got like a little hint of what I'm trying to describe here. So I would have loved us to interrogate, but right now we have to maximize our time. So, Stephen, please can you get to the access to share a flyer as a background? Please can you get to that? So, in the next 2 minutes, I'll be inviting our first presenter to present for us. So, quickly, I'll read the description, like the about of our presenter. So, Mr. Ayolua is on the call presently. Mr. Ayolua, if you can hear me, please greet us, say hi to us.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Okay, good evening, Mr. Ayolua. Thank you. So, a brief introduction, a brief description of Mr. Ayolua. Ogunshola Ayolua Folakum is a first-class graduate of Taishola University of Education, where he studied geography and environmental management. He is a young, motivated environmental advocate who learned about climate change at the age of 17, which motivated him to carry out his first climate movement in university, which is the largest climate movement in the institution. In 2020, Ayolua carried out a project that hosted more than 180 people from more than 11 countries that brought him to the limelight in 2020. So I'll shorten it. The list is a long one. That's the list of achievement of Mr. Ayolua. So I'll try to shorten it because of our time. So due to his inclusiveness and quest for knowledge, he participated in the Harbin Institute of Technology and International Arctic School Summer School program, in which he wrote an article on issues on pollution in the Arctic region. So Mr. Hayolua has a network of climate action takers in over 20 countries in and outside Africa. He recently program managed the Nigeria chapter of the Scientist Rebellion Community, which is the largest non-violent scientist movement to ever and also function as a social media manager for the African continent for this community. In 2022, Ayolua was able to train over 1,820 youths between age of 18 to 30 on sustainable development goals and 1,119 children between age range of 6 to 17 He was able to attend the United Nations Conference on Climate Change when he was able to speak up about loss and damages finance in Africa, among several other activists like Raima, Paulette, and so on. Ayolua strongly believes that networking partnership can help achieve the sustainable development goals. In his free time, he enjoys reading, playing basketball, visiting places, and being a Google local guide. So that's a brief introduction or the brief about of Mr. Ayolua. So, Mr. Ayolua, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I hope you can hear me clearly. I am currently, sorry about the background noise. I'm currently somewhere where there has to be background noise. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, sir. Yes, very well.
Just to be sure that Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Ayolua.
Oh, great. So I don't know if it's possible. I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm currently in a place where there has to be background noise. And so I'll try as much as possible to make myself as audible as I can be. Can I need someone to share my slides, or I don't know if it's possible that my slides are shared. And so today, I'll be talking about climate change and its impact, but I'll be focusing on the roles of youths or of young people in achieving climate action. That's goal 13 on the Sustainable Development Goals. On Sustainable Development Goals. So I don't know if it's possible for my screen to be, for my presentation to be shared. I'm so sorry. This is the only place I can get network. I'm currently in a farm where.
Could you send this slide to me or?
Yeah, I get my slide. Well, let me see if it's able to share my slide myself.
Well, you can try it by yourself.
So only a host can share a meeting, share slides here. So I don't think it's possible. Okay, thank you very much. So yes, thank you very much for sharing my slides. I can have it now. I hope you can all hear me clearly. So when the conversation on climate change is brought up, there's this very boring and very like what's going on, like some top science program or top science conversation. But I would like you to calm down on it. That's why you see me saying, I wrote here, get bored on climate change. This next slide. So whenever you hear that the word, you shouldn't be scared or worried. You should try as much as possible to just calm down. It's a complex problem, but then it's something that I believe that with the right information, everybody can have knowledge on. So climate change is a scientific phenomenon that refers to long-term changes in the Earth's climate, primarily due to human activities that release greenhouse gas such as carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor into the atmosphere. These gases trap in heat from the sun that would otherwise escape back into space, causing the planet's temperature to rise. So I'm going to be picking in keywords so that you'll be able to understand what the definition is. So first of all, I would like to pick the word climate. What the word climate means. Climate is the average weather condition of a place over a period of, say, 30 years, and more than 30 years. But let's say a range of 30 years plus. We can make use of that. And weather means like the degree of hotness or coldness of a place. Then I would say greenhouse gases these are gases that normally would trap heat in the atmosphere. So when the sun comes in, they help to trap in the heat that comes in from the sun. Because of this greenhouse gases, some of them reflect back particular waves. They are very, very, they are sort of like it's a tool that helps to like reflect back, that helps to reflect back heat back into the atmosphere. But then what other keyword again? Methane. Methane is a chemical compound. What else can I see? Yes. So you can see that what climate change is that as a result of the overproduction of these greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, you can see that there is a change in what used to be. So in a situation where there is is a situation where there's meant to be extreme heat, a normal heat temperature, that you start to see that because of these greenhouse gases, you are already seeing extreme heat conditions. You are seeing that the weather gets colder. So that is what climate change explains. All right. Please, next slide. Okay, so now what is the cause? Why is climate change even happening? What's the reason for this particular issue? Because we are a growing population worldwide, because the world is growing at a very fast pace. We are trying to like improve in healthcare. We're trying to definitely make the world a better place. Include the economy of the world has to be increased, all of that. We're trying to develop, make the world as comfortable as possible for everybody. We now have cars. 300 years ago, cars were not present. We now have very sophisticated technology. So because of these particular technologies, we have to emit greenhouse gases through our quest for energy. And these energy sources are usually like fossil fuels, that's like coal, oil, and gas. And these gases, because we have to make use of them, we have to burn them, all right, so that we can convert them into energy as an energy source. Now, during this process, we emit gases, and those gases are greenhouse gases. So some of the greenhouse gases that are very common are carbon dioxide, methane, I think nitrogen oxide, O2, is it ozone, water vapor. So because of these greenhouse gases, I already explained that these greenhouse gases normally trap heat from the sun, but in a situation where there's an excess, we all understand the need for a balance in almost everything, all right? But now in a situation where there are excess amount of greenhouse gases, all right, in a particular in this in our climate system, right, you start to see a situation where there's no more balance in the way rain falls, in the amount of solar radiation that's meant to occur in a particular place. So this is why the word climate change was used, because of these greenhouse gases. We are emitting at a pace that it might be difficult for us to create a livable future for the next generation. So this is the cause of climate change. Next slide, please. So let's see the science. So the effects of climate change are widespread. So this seeks to explain what are the things that climate change causes in a way. So you like I said earlier, as much as climate change is scientific, it's science, it's pure science. All right. We integrate knowledge from physics, chemistry, biology. We are also starting to see that there is a very strong connection between this particular problem and the social sciences, because definitely we have to deal with human beings. So you start to see that there's a very strong connection between how human behavior is even perceived, like people's behaviors as a result. You can almost see that people in particular regions behave in particular ways because of the particular weather condition that they're exposed to. So you can almost see this. So it's not just a science problem. both a social science problem and a science problem. And you can see this in a situation where, for example, what some of the key problems that we see are um, rising temperatures. So I told you that as a result, these greenhouse gases are meant to trap in heat. So when these greenhouse gases are not present, obviously solar radiation will increase, and this means that we are more exposed to um, much more solar radiation that we should be exposed to. All right, that we should be exposed to. So that becomes a problem. The situation of cancerous activities start to come in. Then floods in Nigeria last year. There was a serious situation of flooding. More storms in Malawi. There was Cyclone Freddy. All right, so you can almost see that you can almost see that the impacts of climate change are very obvious around us. Increased rainfall, which leads to flooding. Please, next slide. Increased rainfall, which leads to flooding. So yeah, this is a breakdown of the impacts on health. Rising temperatures and extreme weather events lead to particular situations like droughts. So, for example, when there's extreme weather events, say for example the increased insolation, that's increased solar radiation, you start to see that evaporation increases, and this leads to droughts. So in regions that are already water sensitive, where water scarcity is already a situation where they do not even have, normally because of their geographical location, they do not have access to water, they start to, and probably they even have like a water scarcity issue. There's a water stress already because of the impacts of climate change. Maybe they were able to get a source of water somehow. They start to go through, because of the increased solar radiation, there starts to be droughts. Their water source dries up. All right, and say for example, in situations like that, you start to see people have particular problems health-wise. We are starting to see very strong connections between mental health. I told you human behavior and climate change. We are starting to see very strong connections between that. Say people that are exposed to particular levels of heat are likely to be more exposed situations of like anger issues and all of that. Then we can see that there's heat stroke. Recently, I had a conversation with a friend, and we were trying to see how the relationship between climate change and what's the name of this problem now? There's this issue. It's a brain dysfunction where people have to go through seizures. Yes, we're trying to see the relationship between how climate change can actually affect seizures, and our minds were blown because a very, very strong determinant of people that have seizures is heat, increased heat wave. So we are saying that there's an increase in seizures as a result of climate change. We also have food security. Definitely, when there's droughts, when there's flooding, you see that there's a very big problem in regards to food production. Food are currently in a farm, like I told you. I'm trying to learn on climate smart agricultural technique called hydroponics. And so, yeah, these are some of the ways that climate change can affect food. Then, obviously, economic losses. Say, for example, in Malawi, when Cyclone Freddy hits, there were a lot of buildings that were destroyed, infrastructure worth millions of dollars. So you start to see that there's a very strong relationship between the economy of a country and the amount of climate change impacts that hits the particular country. Displacement, definitely, because of the very strong relationship between climate change and disasters, definitely displacement, loss of lives and properties. You will definitely see that to occur more. This next slide. So these are very strong impacts of climate change. Definitely, there are more like impacts of climate change, but for the purpose of time, I would have to move to the role of young people. So the question happens that we've seen the cause of climate change, we've seen what climate change is, we've seen the causes, we've seen what it can actually do um to um to societies. Sorry about that. To see what we can actually do to societies. Um, what's the role of young people? What young people have to do about this? This is a problem that's literally affecting our generation. It's at a pace that we might not be able to live. The recent reports by the United Nations Environmental Program states that there's a possibility that we would be reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius in this decade if urgent actions are not taken. The situation, the possibilities of the implications of this means that there would be more there'll be more problems, more impacts of climate change. I'm talking heat waves, I'm talking flooding like you've never seen before, I'm talking um just call it cyclones upon cyclones. So you have to understand that this is a problem that our generation is very involved in. Definitely not caused by our generation. Maybe we could say that the generations before us. So what's the role of young people? We have to realize that as much as this problem is complex, you have to understand that you have a role to play. This involves you taking part in activism, trying to change your own lifestyle changes. Buses, if you're trying to take trains, such that your amount of greenhouse, your carbon footprint reduces. Try to avoid single-use plastic. Always have like a bottle with you. Yeah, these are some of them. Also discussing with government bodies, lobbying with government bodies to implement practices that are that can help in reducing emissions. These are some of the also voting. Interestingly, voting is very important. Having a leader that is climate that understands what climate change is also very important, because you need to vote for someone that understands what this problem is and how they can take in policies that will not go against us limiting our budgets of 1.5 degrees Celsius, So next slide, please. So you know that young people have so much to do. You have to be on the forefront, discussing, talking about these issues. So I'll be concluding that climate change is an urgent planetary issue that demands collective action. Young people are significant players in the struggle against climate change. They minimize their effect on the environment as well as campaign for more sweeping policy shifts. Young people will play a crucial role in the present and in the future in saving the world from climate change. Like I said earlier, the impacts of climate change are even much more diverse than you can think of. I think we are seeing a situation where there's cultural changes in places where there are like, they say, for example, in places where they wear thick clothes, all right? They wear thick clothes, say clothes, the type of clothes that they wear because of the type of tradition they have. They have to now change their culture to like wearing other type of clothes. So we are seeing a very, very strong connection between culture and climate change. And you understand that culture is pretty much how we understand ourselves, where we are from, our roots, So we're seeing a very, very strong connection between a whole lot of issues at various scales that we cannot really tell how to like even comprehend it. But then what we know is that small actions like this, attending webinars like this, they matter a lot. And it's important that we all just participate somehow, be involved in the conversation. And thank you very much for having me. My background is very noisy, but I hope I've been able to do justice, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Ayolua. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation from you. Thank you so much. Buttressing the aspect of the science and the impact of climate change. Thank you so much on that. So I don't know if there's any question. Any question before we move on? Any question for our presenter? Any question for our panelists? I hope you can all hear me. Please confirm if you can hear me. Okay, we have. Okay, so we have someone who wants to ask a question or contribute. Okay, go on, Miss Adishola.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the speaker. I really took, I joined quite late, but I was even able to pick some helpful nuggets on, how to combat climate change. I'd just quickly like to ask that how, since we know, climate change doesn't segregate, say, young people or this particular set of people. So how can we get more involvement of like the older people? I think now we can see that more young people are actually coming on board, to combat climate change, to, speak about climate change and all of that. But how can we get, the older ones to also participate in this in this our era? How do we get them to participate? Thank you.
Okay, Vatsuya, I hope you get the question.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that question. I understand that I focus so much on young people because I definitely thought that my audience that I'm speaking to will be on will be young people generally. Definitely, one of the things that older people can do is that you could find a way to set up, join a voluntary organization, an organization. There are a lot of non-for-profits. I don't know if there is so much in Nigeria, but that are actually doing that are actually strong enough to support your activism journey. All right. They may not be able to provide funding for you all the time, but one of the things older people can definitely do is to join an NGO. Secondly, you can, like I talked about, lifestyle changes. It's important that
I'm a young person, I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. okay. No problem. It's important that older people also are very conscious about what they eat. There's a very strong, the IPCC explains that animal farming. I think there's a conversation on how I think 50% of the food that is produced, for example, in the US is giving back to animals, and there's a very serious problem on poverty. There's a very serious problem on food all around the world. So imagine that you plant 500 tubers of yam and 250 tubers of that yam is for goats or cows or, I don't know, poultry farms, poultry birds. That's a very serious problem. So lifestyle changes, definitely. What you eat, where you go to, how do you reduce your transportation? How do you reduce your transportation, your carbon footprint as an individual is one of the most important things that you can do. Then also, old people, definitely, the other generation can be more involved on training, But however, over time, I have realized that it may be difficult to convince older people about this conversation because a lot of them have some ideas that are not scientific. I'm talking because I'm Yoruba and I've been to the communities, I've had conversations with the community leads, community heads and all of that. Strong Yoruba people. I've had conversations with the Igbo and I think one Hausa person, a strong community leader and all of that. And I can tell you for a fact that it might be difficult to convince them about this problem. Although a lot of the problems that they face are definitely climate change induced, but then they like to associate the problem with religious conversations. So I think that one of the ways that we can be involved in is that we focus on people that are willing to change. And I would say a lot of young people are like willing to change. But then the older, I know a lot of amazing groups. I know a lot of amazing groups that are like there's this group that I know about that they are all people above 50. I can't remember which one exactly, but I know that they're about people are between the age range of I think 50 to 70 years old that are actually involved in this particular conversation on climate change. They're always on the streets. There's this group also in the UK. I think they call them the geriatrics team or something like that. And they protest seriously about climate change. They even get to the extent of like blocking roads, going to banks that sponsor new fossil projects and like take protests in front of those type of places, you know. So it's very important that old people are also involved in the conversation, but we should be, because it's our generation, we should also be much more proactive so that they see what we are doing and then they also move alongside with us. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the question, Ms. Additional. Thank you for being on the call. So thank you for the answers, Mr. Hayolua. So I have one question for me too. So my question right now is, so we've been talking about teaching them the aspect of climate change, teaching them. How then can we get those who are illiterate, who doesn't know, like they don't understand better, like they don't understand to the core, like that, what's climate change? How do we teach them? Those who, let me just term it as illiterate. How best can we teach them to be climate change conscious? I hope you
Thank you
get
very
my
much.
question.
Yes, I understand your question perfectly. Thank you very much for that question. It's very important. So one of the things that I do anytime I have to go to a local community is that I like to point out the problems that they are facing and ask them questions. I make use of the Socratic system where you use question for question. When they ask you a question, say, "Kile fe o, kile fe." I'm going to speak in Yoruba. What do you want? Kilo fe, that something this. Or you have to have a conversation with like a community member. One of the things that I do is I ask them questions. Why is it that farm produce has reduced over time? Why is it that you guys are fish farmers? All right. What is the reason for the reduced water level? Questions like that are what I like to ask them. And then they usually have like answers to like give. Thank you. We usually have answers to like give. And usually at the point of me asking questions, say for example, I ask them, why is it that your agricultural productivity has reduced over time? Some of them say, oh, like the soil is not going on, like it's not like before in the olden days. They even start to give me history about their father's father and a lot of things. And then I ask them questions, and a lot of time, because I'm always asking questions, they are not asking me questions, right? I'm able to create a system where they do not even they are able to start to also ask themselves questions about the problem. All right. And then I'm able to give them an answer that, oh, this is where it is coming from. I'm able to explain that, oh, it's because there has not been enough rain. They will say, yes, back in the days, there has not been enough rain, that they used to have rain once in something. They explain themselves. And then I'm able to help them, guide them through that phase. Definitely if possible, with their local language, if I can. Then also, it's important to know there are a lot of tools online. Thank God for the advent of technology. There are tools that can help you that would break it down to help to help simplify climate change. So I would advise that when you are teaching people about climate change, you do not make use of complex terms. All right. One of the things that you can do is be very conscious about where you are and try to use the local problems that they have. Say, why is this your water source? Why are your wells drying up? What's going on? You know, these are some of the things that you can make use of. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, very well. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hayolua. Is there any more question or questions, addition? Any other thing you want to ask from our speaker? He still has like 4 minutes, 4 more minutes to go for questions. I have one more question to ask, but I want everyone to ask their question. If you have any question, please ask right now. You can just raise your hand or you type in the comment box if you're in a noisy place. So let me just throw my question. So the first is just like the first question I asked. So it's of two-edged, but you answered the first one. So the second one now is, what about those who are literate and understand, but when you tell them climate change, how should I say, how do you confuse or convince them that climate change is not an hoax, it's not a made-up story? How do you convince them? Let me use confuse. How do you convince them? I hope you get my question.
Thank you very much. This is a very, very serious problem that a lot of individuals in the climate action space deal with. People like that are called climate deniers. Most of them are actually know, a huge amount of them actually know about this problem, but some of them are sponsored by or they might not even know that they are they might not even know that they are sponsored in a way, but a lot of them are a lot of key climate deniers are sponsored by organizations that are always prioritizing profit before planet. And a lot of time you hear a lot of wrong information online about climate change. But then one thing I can say for a fact that you can do is that you try as much as you can do. Yeah, for example, the United Nations Environmental Program, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, right? And when you list out these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, all right, 15 of them are problems, if I'm right. 16 of them are problems. Why is it that all these other goals are not like an OAX, like you said? So why would the United Nations want to say start that kind of issue? You know, so one of the things that you can do is to how are you doing? One of the things that you can do is that you can list some of these goals, explain to them what the UNEP is, United Nations Environment Program is. There's also one of the best ways that they can find scientific fact is the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports. There's a report that they produce on climate change where they give a specific scientific research over scientists all over the world actually agree, come together, write research from different places about climate change. They bring up the report together, and then after that, they produce a report that is signed by every political leader in the world. All right, and that report is when the report is signed by all political leaders in the world, they publish this report out. Interestingly, these conversations do not gain enough media attention, but we're working on how to make sure that it can be more acceptable in the media. I mean, media bodies like CNN, Al Jazeera, and Sky News, BBC are very, very open to have conversations on this report. In fact, they are bringing in young climate activists from all over the world on these conversations. You know, so the reports are there, the science is there. This is some of the things I'm going to even be working on next month, which is a conversation on this particular issue, which is the science is clear. I did. So yeah, you can almost tell that there's enough proof. I mean, like imagine all the world leaders in the world at COP27, everybody comes together as the United Nations Conference on Climate Change. I've experienced it one for myself, where in Egypt, which was the last COP, I was able to join them physically, and I can tell you for a fact that the impact of climate change are real. All leaders in the world came to that conference. Maybe some true representatives But all of them signed documents that prove that, oh, these science results are actually true. So there's almost no argument really. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, very well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do I have more questions, Berlin? But because of time, maybe I'll just come to your DM straight and we'll discuss it out. Thank you so much. I guess we have one more question. Mr. Steven, please unmute your mic and go on.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, Mr. Ayolo, for this wonderful delivery. So I have two questions to ask. So the first one is related to governance and policy. Like, it's so surprising that most of all the people that we have in the house, in the two house that we have in Nigeria, most of them don't raise issues on climate. So like, I've not really in this last house, I've not really seen anybody talk about climate. So what they talk about basically is maybe budgets, how to borrow money from China and the likes. So like, this is not paramount to them, and this is really like affecting everybody. So I wanted to know, like, how do we create this awareness? Like, the way they do awareness on Twitter, that you tweet and you just make something trend on Twitter, and the likes of Shea Sunny and so on, they pick it up and probably work on it. So how do we do that? Like, when it comes to this devastating effects that we're feeling on climate issues, how do we like make it go to them and let them be educated on it? Because most of them are not educated on these issues. They are our so-called leaders. So like, how do we get this to their ears and for them to be able to work on this? So also the second question is activists like us, the young activists like us, we would like to work on so many projects related to climate, but we lack support from government, even partners that we see around us, companies, they're not interested in supporting. So are there alternatives of seeking support? Like, are there like fundings that we can get elsewhere to, address this issue and undertake this projects? So that's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the question, Mr. Adekunle. So if I'm the first question, I'll be answering the first question, and then I'll move to the second question. Thank you very much for the question. Very important question. This is a very, very big problem. We call this lobbying, all right? Having conversations with leaders to bring in conversations on like climate change to them, right? Interestingly, the Buhari administration started up an act called the Climate Change Act, where there were particular conversations on how to like get climate change education much more active. And yeah, it was legalized, all of that. But then the activeness of this it's a total shame. And also, that when they do act like that, usually it's the next government that actually gets it steady, because we live in a country where we know most of all what all this is like. In regards to how you can reach out to these guys, one of the things that I have seen that works is that you would have to reach out to them via letters, emails, send out emails. To be honest with you, it's not meant to be it's not meant to be very easy doing this kind of work. All right, it's not very easy. You have to send out emails, send them messages. You can actually look at your local government chairman, wherever you are, find out who is in charge of bills or whatever it is that they do in the house, who is representing you guys. Tell them about the problems that you are facing, the local problems, and have conversations with him about climate change. These are some of the things I've done. Some of them not result creating yields, but some of them actually creating opportunities for strategic relationships where I can actually create projects that can possibly get funding by the government. All right, so that also answers your second question. So it's a two-way answer. Now, the second answer to your funding issue is that I like to tell people about, especially like when you're trying to get funding for your project, you cannot expect especially like if you're starting up, you do not expect the Nigerian government to provide resources for you. One of the things that you do is that you make use of the resources yourself that you have, and then help position yourself in such a way that you are able to get resources. However, I understand that this can be very difficult because we all have needs. So one of the things that I was able to do, I don't know, that wasn't read in my bio, is the African Climate Change Movement, where we are able to get networks of African activists in, I think if I'm right, maybe 27 countries now in Africa. And what we do is that we know that some of us do not always have access to funding. We send in opportunities to them when we can, when we see them, and then we find a way that we can support them in situations where we have the resources to. In situations, I have to repeat that, in situations where we have the resources to. Then another strong thing that we do is that we find a way to create an opportunity for partnerships. And this is what happens. Say, for example, I have one of the projects I'm working on is a climate education tour. So one of the things I did was that I got individuals that have similar ideologies about climate change education. I reached out to them, one of which is an international organization. Oh, I have this interesting project that I want to do. And I talked to them about it, and they said they would like to partner with me. That way, I'm already reducing the costs. Oh, there's a media organization that they just started up. Maybe it's a startup media organization. So we are finding ways that they can actually reduce the cost of doing projects without actually having to break the bank. All right. So I think that's some of the things that's one of the things that we do. And I like to tell, especially like CSO owners, whenever you do projects, say you create a project, you do a project in a local community, you cannot do a project in a local community and make it local. You also have to position your organization in a seat to the international community. If you trust me, if you do a local project in a community, do not limit it to just that, to your local news. Local news in Nigeria, the highest you get is NTA channels. What other news station do you have? Channels. Reach out to media outlets. Tell people what you are doing. Put yourself out there. Resources are not scarce. You are not just doing the work. That's what I like to think. All right. So put yourself out there, and you get resources are everywhere. Trust me. Resources are everywhere. Just position yourself. Networking, very important. And yeah, partnership. That's why the 17th goal is partnership for the goals, because it helps you to in a way solve all the problems. So you don't even have to break the bank. We are thinking about, for example, you have a school project, maybe you want to visit a school and provide resources. One of the things you can do is just reach out to the people that produce those resources. If you can't, reach out to another NGO that is also looking to do that. See how you can work with each other until you're able to position yourself internationally to be able to get some of these funds. I hope I answered the two questions right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yolua. Thank you for the mind-blowing session and the answers to every of our questions. Thank you so much. So right now, though, we've been trying to wait a bit for our next presenter, but he is not on the call, right? I guess he's having some issue at his end. He's unable to join him. So maybe we are going to, for now, I don't want to delay us further. So I guess I will leave it to my Oga to decide, my Oga to talk. So Mr. Steven, please, can you just say us something or Mr.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out today for this webinar. So I believe that you've been able to learn a thing or two. So our second speaker is supposed to be on the call. I should have been on the call, but I think he's having this network issue at his end. So I've been trying to reach him. So I don't know what can. I don't want to delay on the call. So I want to suggest that we should just bring the call to an end. I don't know, Daniel, Thomas, do you want to say something? Your mic is on. Okay, so in order not to waste our time, I'll just maybe I'll just. Okay, I think he's about to come in now. So I just got a message from him. So could we just chill for him, just say 2 minutes? So I think it's about to come in now. So please be patient while he tries to log in. Thank you very much for coming out today. Thank you.
So before he joins, I would like to appreciate everyone on the call presently. I would like to call names out. So Omalara, thank you for being on the call. Fumi Holawole, thank you. I would have loved everyone to speak and introduce themselves so we can know you better. Like we can connect with each other well. So thank you so much for being on the call. Daniel Thomas, thank you so much. And our leader in this space, Miss Adeshola Adegay, thank you so much. I really appreciate. We appreciate your presence here. And others, we and others, Ayolo Ogunshola, Adekunle Stephen, and me myself. So thank you everyone for being on the call. Thank you so much. So in the next few minutes, let me say 1, 2, 3 minutes, our next our next panelists will join us on the call. Please be patient, please.
All right, so our next speaker is here in our midst. Mr. Michael.
Okay. Mr. Temila, thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Temila.
Sorry, I came late.
Seriously, you should find me.
Sorry.
Seriously.
As you can see, I'm still on my school. Where? Sorry, what's this? Would like to share your pronoun? Yeah.
No problem. So I guess you can just get instantly.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, let me share my presentation. Sorry, I'm coming. What are you doing? Sorry, I can't. Sorry. Sorry, can everyone see my screen?
Yes,
Not
we
yet.
can.
Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
So sorry, I made a mistake here. I was actually rushing. So the theme of today is the science of climate change. So I'll be introducing us to a breakdown of what climate change means and the science revolved around it and the effect of human activities or the effect of society on climate change. Can we all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Can we all still hear me? Can we all still hear me? So this is just a brief discussion about me. I think everyone will still get that. I don't need to go into that now. I think time is fast spent to start doing this. So let's go into it. Climate change refers to a long-term change in the average weather pattern that have come to be expected in a particular region. See, there's a difference between climate and climate change. Are we all hearing me? Are we all still with me? There's a difference
Yes.
between climate and climate change.
Okay.
Climate change is the variation, is the change, is the break. You understand what I say? Is the break. For example, now, a human being has function for the hand, has function for the leg, has function for the eyes. If there's a break in the hand, for example, has a pain in the hand, the human being or like physically is not complete. Do you understand? So that means there's been a change in the physiology of that person, in the physical listing of that person. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the same thing about climate. Now, the change that might have occurred either through the atmosphere, biosphere, the type of atmospheres that we have, or through human activities is the change, is what they call climate change. So I said this change are largely caused by human activity. Obviously, it is caused by all of us. Me and you that are watching me like this, it is caused by every one of us because we all are contributing to our climate either positively or negatively. Apologies for people moving around or background noise. I'm in my hostel, so obviously there will be certain distractions. So I highlighted 3 points here, which is the greenhouse, atmosphere, and the global warming. Let me show you what I wrote here. So these are the compounds. I classify them as compounds because these are things that actually comprises of the climate. Are we still with me? These are things that comprises of the what? Of the climate. Are you still with me?
We can hear you very well.
Okay.
Please write down.
Okay, sorry, I think I will join on my phone so I can monitor. So just give me 2 minutes. I want to join my phone so I can monitor what I'm playing here. Sorry. Okay. I think I'm having issues joining. So I think we just be blind with them. So I said the greenhouse is what? The context is the context of climate. The term greenhouse refers to the natural process of its retention in the Earth's atmosphere. Do you know this I call the components? Because greenhouse, atmosphere, and global warming actually work in hand. If you check atmosphere, you will see greenhouse there. If you check global warming, you see greenhouse and atmosphere. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the context of climate, the term greenhouse refers to the natural process of its retention in the earth. I don't know if we understand or if we did basic science that time. We can't, as human, like as human being like this, we can't survive if it is too cold or if it is too hot. So it is the balance that we all are living in. We have something called the earth core underneath us. That thing is actually what's generating heat and all those balancing the whole energy around us. So this heat atmosphere acts like a greenhouse. That's what's trapping some of the sun energy, which keeps the planet's temperature within a range that is suitable for life. As I said, it is balancing human, like we living, we coexisting on the planet Earth. It is what the greenhouse that would balance us to live there. If they, okay, for example, now if let's say, can anybody live in inside a volcano? No, because the heat will be too much for that fellow to actually survive in that certain place. Neither can anybody live inside a snow or inside a house of ice. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is what the greenhouse is like a shell, balancing us to actually live inside the earth. Now the atmosphere, I didn't put it here, but you see it in the other slide where I said there are 8 types of atmosphere. We have the biosphere, testosphere, metrosphere, hydrosphere. Those are listen, but this is the atmosphere is the layer of gases that surrounds the earth. plays a crucial role in regulating planet's climate. The atmosphere, that's why I said climate change for what? Climate change. The atmosphere composed of various gases, such as what? Nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. As we all know, we are breathing what? We breathe out oxygen, we bring in carbon dioxide. Do you understand? As well as small amounts of what? Gases and particles. Not only women are on planet Earth, we also have all these insects, we have microorganisms that also would survive and cohabit in planet Earth. So there are certain atmospheres too for them. So there are some things that they say that you can't find certain insects in a very cold environment. The reason why mosquito is very rampant in Nigeria and Africa is because of what? The heat, the fact that there is a lot of heat in Africa, in Nigeria. But in UK, US, Canada, you won't find them. I've not been there before, but from the book we read, they said you won't find them there because what? It is too cold for them to survive or cohabit in that atmosphere. Now, global warming. Global warming refers to what? A long trend of increasing average global temperature, primarily due to what? Increasing level of greenhouse gases. I've told you that there were components of climate change because there are three intertwined. The three of them would work in hand. They are what? The average global temperatures, primarily due to what? Increasing level of greenhouse gases. When we as a woman being, we consume a lot of carbon footprints, a lot of waste, we consume a lot of harmful things to our planet. The greenhouse is like a ball. Let me say it's like a ball, or let's say a pure water. If you put a pen, the tip of your pen into a nylon, a sachet of water, what will happen? It will actually what? To start leaking and it will what? Burst. That's it. The greenhouse is like a ball. Or should I say it's like a balloon that is taking water. It's taking water, it's still expanding, it's expanding because what it can still take that water at that particular time. But it will get to a point whereby what the greenhouse will be unable to what take the heat, it will be able to take what the pressure, will be unable to what take the waste that we women are producing each day, that will just what burst. Only God will not let that one happen to any of us. God will not let that one happen to any of us. So that's just everything about greenhouse and the component of what? Of climate change. So the next one, sorry. So this one I just explained what greenhouse is. I said it works as a solar. Yes, if the greenhouse also what helps us what we all are enjoying solar power today. Thanks to what? The greenhouse. We're enjoying certain things today thanks to the greenhouse. So I would like to rush. So I said the layers, yes. So these are the layers I mentioned before. I said testosphere, stratosphere, lithosphere, testosphere, and exosphere. These are what the layers of what of the atmosphere. Sorry, is everyone still with me?
Well, with you.
Yes, we are still here.
I would like to hear everybody's contribution because it's feeling like I'm the only one talking here, and I want this to be an interactive one.
Yes, Mr. Timmy, I can hear you from my hand.
That's correct. So it's only self. Okay, come in. So is there a way I can share the presentation directly instead of going back and forth?
All right. For me here, I can't even see your screen. Like, are you sharing your screen right now?
Right now.
Like,
were you seeing it
have
before?
you shared it already?
Were you seeing it before?
No, I can't. Like, I couldn't see before. I don't know if all others can see it. You can only see your face.
Okay, I'm coming. Wow. Let me see what I can do.
But it's fine if you can't share it. Like, I could share for you if you don't mind.
Share for me, please. Share for me, please. I would like everyone to know what I'm talking about. So they will see everything I said there.
Okay, maybe you can just go on with the presentation. So once Mr. Steven shared it, then you just pick it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to put my screen side by side. So I'm busy, please. So okay. So I stopped at types of what atmosphere. I was telling you that I mentioned five here. I mentioned five. This was okay. I think he has shared. I can see. Okay, he has shared. Yes, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Let me
you.
know where I should stop.
Okay. Continue. Okay, stop here, please. Stop. Move back, go back. Yeah, stop here. So I would like to explain this again because I think everyone was not seeing my screen there when I was explaining. I said what I was telling you before that there are three components of what of greenhouse, of climate change, which was the greenhouse, the atmosphere, and the global warming. Because in greenhouse, you will see atmosphere. In atmosphere, you will see greenhouse gases. In global warming, you see the three components, the two other components that is there. And I said that the greenhouse is like a ball or a balloon that is taking water in. And as it's taking it, it's what expanding. But it will get to a point whereby the balloon will be unable to what, take the pressure, take the waste that we women produce every day, our carbon footprints will be unable to what, take those things again, and it's just all of a sudden get like burst. Do you understand? So that was what I said. That was what I said. Okay. We're having it to 8 p.m. to Masmari time. Okay, sorry, let me set my timer. Okay, so I have less than like 15 minutes. So please skip this part. I'd like to explain what we women ourselves, what we are doing to our planet. Please skip. Let's go. Atmosphere. I've explained this. Yes, here I said climate change and man. The impact of human activity on the climate is complex. It's a complex issue that scientists, even forget the word scientists, unions, organizations, NGOs are rising up to the fact that yes, we must save this planet. We don't have another place. The scientists have not discovered that we can live on Mars. It is still planet Earth that we all are still managing for now. So until then, we have to keep this place. So scientists have not come up that there's another planet, so we have to just save this one. Human activities has been, but let me give you this story. There was this time we were having a sensitization in the secondary school, and we gave them an assignment that they should find out issues in their house that they themselves can solve. And one of them came that because we're doing a training for them, which is climate change. And one of them came out and said he made sure that his mom trekked from their church down to their house. And everybody was laughing at him, but they didn't understand what he was saying because actually carbon footprint is actually part of waste. All those gases released from cars, released from your bikes that you carry, released from everything mechanic are carbon footprint. So carbon footprint actually is what a waste. Have you ever seen people that are burning bush before, and then you see those smoke? When I was small that time, we believe that those things are going to God. It's going to the heaven and everything. Those are just childish things, but it is actually what carbon footprint, and it is harmful to us as human beings, as inhabitants of Earth. It is harmful to us. The smoke, the cigarette that people around us people around us, what they breathe out. It is carbon footprint and it is harmful to us. It is harmful to our planet. So they attack different human activities. Some of us will buy plastic that even they write it on the Coca-Cola bottle, recycle. Everybody is aware of recycling now, but still, even we that are educated are still what falling short of these things. You still just pick the bottle and just put it anywhere you want. Ever since I became an advocate of SDGs, I have unconsciously and unconsciously be taking my, how will I call it, my waste. I'll just see that I'll find inside my bag. Because it has been programmed to me that no, I'm not supposed to do this, I'm not supposed to do that. But certain people know these things and they still know they still not change. They still don't do the right thing. These things are your decision as human. Your decision as human actually what matters in climate change. What you do, I can affect every other person on planet Earth. Thankfully, in Nigeria, we don't have a lot of things that is called natural disaster. We don't have anything called hurricane, tornadoes. We don't really have it here. Thank God. Thank God we don't have such things like that here. If not, there will be. Let's just skip that. So please move on. I think the display of hair. So I came up with this, that things that we as human beings should do. We should both what? There are 3 R's. It's called what? Reduce, refuse, reuse, and recycle. It is reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce in the aspect that reduce the carbon footprint you bring out, reduce the waste you bring out as a human being. There are certain things that we can still use again that we just dispose. Instead of burning those clothes that you feel you don't wear again, instead of turning them into rags that if you don't use again, there are certain people in your area that they don't even have any clothes to wear. That clothes that you are seeing as trash can be something of gold for them. So instead of throwing it away, turning it into rag, burning it, reduce your carbon. You give it to somebody else to reduce and to reuse, recycle. Some of us now we are of the habits that I don't know. In my school, I'm actually I myself I'm guilty of this thing I'm about to say. We buy plastic, we buy food into pack. That means that was plastic. Normally, the plastic was produced for emergency purposes, not for everyday usage. It was produced for emergency. Okay, I want to get a food, but I won't be chance to eat it here. So can you please put it into a pack for me? But we humans are turning it into something of every day. You buy, mommy, give me rice, give me inside pack, go, finish it. Instead of washing it, you don't want to wash it, throw it away. Mommy, give me pack. Next day, mommy, give me pack. Like 120 naira pack for a day. That's how much. That's like 500 naira for 5 days. Sorry, that's 500 naira. You're spending 500 naira on pack, on waste for 500 for 5 days. So recycling helps a lot. Maximize your carbon footprint. I'm trying to not to go against the time. Maximize your carbon footprint instead of taking that car, instead of driving down your daddy's car or your own car or your sister's car. Try and check. It is not every time. Even this mechanical this thing, even this machine, they need time to rest. It's not every time we are never take light that you on them. Yeah, I think we all have we watched our section there was a time we were doing section on renewable energy, and she was telling us other type of energy such as hydro energy, the one got from a termite, all those things. She was discussing it to us, and some of us are still here that we know this, we can do this thing, but then 5 minutes never take light like this. That's all I'm going to bring. Can't turn on the gen. Please, let's reduce our carbon footprint, and also be mindful of your planet. Be mindful about people around you. Be conscious. Let them know that this is bad. This is bad. There was one time I was in the bus. Whenever I sit in the bus, in the public transport, I always like to sit beside the window. It's just me. I like to sit beside the window. So there was this woman sitting beside me, and she was like, okay, me drew and guess what she gave me? A 7 up plastic plate. I was like, and I took it and I put it inside my bag. I was like, no, when you get out, she said, money, mom. In the trash basket, and she looked at me. See, I didn't insult her. I didn't tell her, my action towards what I just did to her, we reminisce in her head. Another time when she wants to treat me, I'm like, oh, there was this boy that let people around you know what is called climate change. Let people around you know what is called what. let people around you know what is called what. What is called recycling. Recycling. Plastic pen is not only what they call recycling. No. I don't have much time. I will have dived into type of recycling that we have. We have a lot. We have can, we have different types. We have even pure water line, even paper. The paper we use, your notes, your notebook, they can also be recycled. So please keep this next. So ways to reduce your climate to reduce climate change. I said transition to renewable energy. I've stated that one before. We need to move away from fossil fuel and transition to clean and renewable energy. So it's just like what solar, wind, geothermal, as they said in our renewable energy class before. Now, said this will reduce the greenhouse gases emission and prevent climate change. We start using solar. Yes, these things are expensive for now, but calculate the money you spend for 1 month and multiply it by how many months they will not give you light. And calculate how much they are selling solar. And solar, you don't need to buy any, sorry for that. Sorry, I'm very sorry for that. You don't need to buy any fuel. All you need is just mercy from God that, let's sun shine today and you're good. Wind too. The amount of this that is blowing, that wind is blowing, it will give you what? Energy. Geothermal, in the earth core, they get energy right from the earth core. That is where they that down. Again, if God has been faithful to us, that everything around us can be seen, can have its own positive and negative effect on human beings. So the next one was what I said, reduce our carbon footprint. I said it before. We need to reduce our carbon footprint. Daily driving is not advisable. In UK, for example, I think during like last 2 years, we also when Prime Minister was driving bicycle to his office, they are well organized, that they know that it is not every time that they need to drive their car. They don't even own too much cars. But in Nigeria, in Africa, our ego will never leave us. As you see a man owning like 26 cars. But that's not the topic for today. You don't need to drive your cars every day. Have bicycles, have this and that to help you. So the last one is what? Reduce your waste. Have a recycling bin in your house. Separate your waste. This is do you know the waste you gain from your food? The how will I call it? Your rice or this thing can actually be used as fertilizer for or manure for plants. Yes, they can be used. That's part of what recycling. It's not only plastic bottles. It's not only wood, furniture, chairs. It is not only those things that can be recycling. Your waste foods too can be recycled. Your clothes can be recycled. Your phone can be recycled. So please, that's so please move to the next slide. I think this should be the last, but I'm not sure. So yes, so I'm already told. They're telling me you have 30 seconds more. So that is my presentation for this night. Thank you all for listening. My name is Timothy Badibo. I think you can switch back to the our speaker part.
Thank you so much, our speaker. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pinibela.
Thank you too. Thank you too.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful session. So I don't know if there's any question from From
We
anybody?
have questions. I'm here. I'm
Any
still here.
questions for our speaker? Is there
If you
stray
have
questions?
question, I have question for us.
Is able and I'm able. Give him questions, I beg. Okay, any question, please just raise your hand or you drop it in the comment box. Any questions, please? Okay, in the absence of none, I guess we all understand the aspects of the science of climate change. So, okay, now, so we've gotten to the point where we say thank you to everyone for joining in. Thank you for participating. Thank you for willing to gain knowledge. Thank you for willing to gain knowledge. And we hope that what you've learned today, that you make use of each and every one of it. And if you have any questions here, you can contact any of our speaker or panelists here. Go to LinkedIn, their names, their, should I say, their description on LinkedIn. So you can connect with them and ask more about whatever they say today. So thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Demidola. Thank you so much. So over to Mr. Stephen, please just say us a word before we round it up.
All right. Thank you very much for this for moderating the session. Oh Michael, like I really appreciate on behalf of Ogun State CAAP, I want to appreciate everybody who came out today. I want to especially our speakers, Ayolua and Temidola. I thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure,
Thank
sir.
you, Michael, for moderation, for standing by, for all the back-end support and all of them. Thank you very much. Daniel, thank you very much for coming on the call today. Thank you. And thank you, Fumi Olawale. Really appreciate your presence. Abiba Suleiman. I don't know if that's your real name. Is that your real name? Or you're welcome on the call and thank you for showing up. Right. Thank you. So once again, I say thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming out today to take part in this wonderful and insightful and also very educating session. So we really appreciate it. Thank you. So I'll hand over to my moderator again to wrap everything up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Steven. Yeah. So I guess we are done. So just to appreciate us, thank you. Thank you so much. Daniel Thomas, thank you. Abiba Suleiman, thank you so much for joining me. So we hope to see you anytime soon. Yeah, we hope to connect with you anytime soon. So thank you everyone for joining in. We can all log off. Thank you so much for joining in. So bye everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. And then you can share the presentation to the group so anyone who did not join can always read and understand. So
yeah,
okay.
It's very explicit.
I'll forward it to the group. Thank you.
And if you are still on the call, and if you are still on the call and you need the presentation slide, please do drop your number here. We can just send it to you.
All right.
So, okay.
You